Giuseppe Musico versus Federico Camporesi. They've got some amazing achievements and very similar teams. So it's going to be a bit of a nail-biter here where both obviously undefeated.
Start off with the accomplishments, Costa.
Yes, as we mentioned before, EUIC this very season, top 16 placement, so close on being able to get that top 8 placement.
It's going to be the Mega Charizard Y, the Incineroar, choosing the Chople Berry there, Parting Shot and Throat Chop as the options, then the Choice Scarf Basket Legion, how that Floette is being run. Way more offensively. It's not like those Calm Mind setup ones are a bit more slow, a bit more methodical, that rely on that support.
When you're paired up against the Charizard Y, as well as the Whimsicott, which, sure, okay, it does resist, it does break its Focus Sash, but it's a great way to be able to counteract that speed control and not take a lot of damage on its side of the field. We have got the leads. Giuseppe on the left-hand side with that Incineroar and Mega, oh, should I say Charizard for now.
Slide from coming out, and then do you take advantage of that, or do you just try and position, keep your Charizard for later and try and just keep on continuously weakening the opposing Garchomp? Because Incineroar not really too worried about what this Mega Charizard Y from Francesco's side is going to throw out. The weather balls will add up, but you can take a few of them while you get yourself sorted.
And that's why Federico wants to go directly on the offensive, sets that Sun up, but most importantly, trying to go for the Rock Slide, directly threatening the what was previous Charizard to put it within range, where perhaps the Charizard on Federico's side is going to be able to capitalize off of it.
They aren't -1, they're pressuring the opposing Garchomp with the Dragon Claw, and not only that, they're pressuring the opposing Charizard now with their own Rock Slide, which hasn't been checked, and that's exactly what's coming out.
Oh, 16 hit point survival. Will it be able to get a move off, which could be quite crucial in terms of the targeting? Solar Beam is absorbing all of the precious light, and it's going to be tackling the Garchomp, dealing so much damage. About, okay, I was going to say that had to be a crit. It's about 70 to 75% worth of damage, proccing the Citrus Berry, getting the Parting Shot now onto the Whimsicott. That could have been a double up there onto the Charizard, but clearly Incineroar wanted to prioritize the board state.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it was a really smart play here to go for that Rock Slide and take the opportunity when it presented itself. I think Federico probably felt quite comfortable knowing that it's Charizard is trained defensively. It's going to be in range of any little wisp of a flame from the Heat Wave taking it down.
I think Federico's in a bit of a disadvantage, obviously because of how the board state's been playing out, but the fact that there's a lack of Incineroar to be able to lower the damage output from Giuseppe's side is quite crucial, because you're probably going to go down to an attack right now unless you pick up a KO. Weather Ball into the Charizard from Giuseppe's side, barely scratching that 50% mark. As we've got the Garchomp going for the Dragon Claw, making sure it can guarantee any damage into that slot, even if another Pokemon's coming back onto the field. And Charizard connects with the Heat Wave, picks up the KO. And even though Tailwind's been set up from Federico's side, to what cost? 2 of their Pokemon.
Yeah, in a really nice, consistent way to get rid of the Charizard there. It's saying, okay, well, the Charizard could switch out for the Garchomp if it suspects a Rock Slide, so let's cover that and let's get a Dragon Claw just to cover bases there. Now, interestingly, Federico has brought there. Yeah, well, I mean, the Incineroar coming in, I think if it gets hit with a Light Rune, it's probably going to be leaving the field pretty quickly. But I think the main important thing here is that you get that all-important Intimidate onto the opposing Garchomp. You can see that Giuseppe does value their Garchomp, doesn't want to lose it so freely, and just protects it here from any threat as the Rock Slide from Federico's Garchomp does come out.
Yeah, and the awkward thing is that there's no Mega Evolution option on the Floette from Federico's side, because he already committed with the Charizard, so it's not going to have the Fairy Aura to further bolster the Fairy-type moves. And look at that. That's pitiful damage coming from a Floette.
Taking enough damage now where are you able to take that Dragon Claw -1? That's going to be the big question. But no, Dragon Claw locked into just another Rock Slide, maybe predicting a switch from Giuseppe, thinking that the Charizard might re-enter the field.
May well be the case. Rock Slide does connect onto Incineroar. Gonna have to find out if there's gonna be any sort of flinch potential. Not for the moment. Dragon Claw not enough to pick up the KO onto that bulky Garchomp on Federico's side. Does have the procking of the Citrus Berry as sunlight has now faded.
More freedom to come in and take advantage of the sun in front of it without having to worry so much about those big physical attacks.
Yeah, defensive protect from Giuseppe there. Rock Slide will be connecting, picking up the the KO onto Incineroar, but this sort of falls into the plan from Giuseppe's side. He wants to be able to bring in a Pokemon fresh, and it probably is going to be that Mega Charizard Y, which is surely going to be able to outspeed that Floette. But now that Tailwind has expired, the question is, Garchomp is surely going to be able to outspeed, but can it connect?
I was wondering if it would be maybe the Basculegion to come in here that Giuseppe had been keeping, but this is just as good because now you're going to be able to get your own Tailwind set. You can go for that. And if you remove that opposing Garchomp, then you can, your Charizard just comes in and cleans up the Floette.
Okay, so we see both of our trainers trying to get the most crucial piece defended right there. Dragon Claw will only be met with the Protect. Very good play, but Federico not able to capitalize off of it. Get rid of the Garchomp. Unfortunately, didn't get the read, and we see the forfeit.
Threatening, you almost feel like you've got to react. You can't keep it on the field. You've got to bring something else in, and that opens up opportunities, whereas with the Floette, you can just have that constant damage cycling on and in and out. So
and we do have a switch up. Game 2 has brought the King Gambit and Garchomp this time round from Federico's side, able to capitalize off of the Incineroar Brain, now having +1 in its attack.
Now the Charizard is threatened here by that Garchomp, but it is -1, so you would probably say it can take at least one Rock Slide. The one thing you need to watch out for, and I'm sure Giuseppe is aware, is a combination of that Sucker Punch Rock Slide, but you do have Fake Out to get around that for at least one turn if that is what's chosen.
Yeah, and there is a consideration that Federico has to be able to be aware of, and that is the potential of locking the Garchomp into a potential Protect, hence why we saw it try to go on the offensive. It does deal a bit of rough skin damage, but it's willing to be able to do it to make sure that the Whimsicott doesn't switch in, get that lock going already, and then allow Charizard to just go for max damage.
It'll be the Charizard's turn to Protect, as we probably see a parting shot from the Incineroar onto that Garchomp, or maybe even an attack into the King Gambit here just to try and remove it.
Yeah, I was going to say, there would have been, if the low kick was an option on Federico's side, the option of going for the Incineroar, but it's got Iron Head, Kowtow Cleave, and the Sucker Punch, so it's not going to be able to finally get rid of that, or have the option to do so, as Incineroar, though, does flinch. Cheeky little Rock Slide there.
Threatened right now, you're probably quite safe to go and lock in for something like that.
Okay, but we have the Floette being brought onto the field, revealed in this game too, whilst the Charizard switches out. So clearly both of our trainers trying to be one step ahead in terms of the subsequent board state available after this turn. King Gambit has protected itself. Parting Shot goes into the Floette slot. There was no real reason for Giuseppe not to do it, aside from being fearful of a potential flinch yet again, but this gives a lot of momentum with that pivot action going.
That you were suspecting maybe coming in, you weaken that, which gives you a much easier time dealing with that Pokemon.
Depending on the training of this Garchomp, there may be a chance to be able to outspeed it.
Yeah, the combination of Light of Ruin and a Sucker Punch into the Charizard, I'm really curious. I think that might be very close to picking up this Charizard, so that could be a combination that we do see.
Fairy Aura now activated. Sucker Punch into the Charizard, 38 hit point. That is so huge. Earthquake will be able to deal damage onto both of Federico's Pokemon. Not quite enough to pick up the KO, but like you said, Lee, are we going to see
the Light of Ruin?
No, really didn't. And at least you're not going to be taking that much recoil damage in return because of how low Charizard's HP is. You have gotten rid of the raid boss from Giuseppe's side. Although you need to respect, now Giuseppe has a free switch in. It could very well be that Whimsicott, but there's a lot of firepower lost in order to deal with the King Gambit.
Yeah, and that's it. I think the King Gambit here is a big threat and core that it's got access to on that Floette, and why we're maybe seeing it switch off the field now.
I was going to say, we did see the Garchomp actually outspeed that Floette as well. Another reason for Federico to be able to take that into consideration. Garchomp's berry has been procced, gets a bit of recovery. Sucker Punch dealing so much damage. Moonblast will be breaking the focus sash on this Whimsicott and dealing so much respectable damage. Not even Pixie Plate boosted. The Earthquake is enough to pick up the KO because of the rough skin interaction onto the King Gambit.
Yeah, that's a huge play there. You break your own focus sash, but it's well worth the trade-off here. Now you've got your own Whimsicott onto the field, and you've done so much damage with that initial Moonblast on the switch, and where that Whimsicott on Federico's side will likely go down to another Earthquake from Garchomp, and because you've got the jump speed-wise with your tailwind at that stage, because then you're still going to be outspeeding it, but there is the tailwind.
Okay. Yeah, you're going to have to hope that Giuseppe does not select the exact same move, but wait, he doesn't! There's a Dazzling Gleam! Double KO onto the Garchomp and the Whimsicott! My lordy, what an interaction, and Federico may have just put himself back into the game!
Yeah, Giuseppe there, that's huge. Not going for the tailwind of their own, and then really getting punished for that decision, where the Floette now taking full advantage of that speed control, and the Incineroar now on its lonesome isn't going to have enough to be able to deal with this combination. You would say, no, it looks like Federico is going to things a bit more difficult. Federico making all the right decisions to not give an easy time to Giuseppe to take this game.
All right, here we go. This is the final game of our first day here in Turin for the Special Championships. Giuseppe and Federico both undefeated, trying to remain that way going into tomorrow.
To your Charizard, Mega Evolve and potentially get a big heat wave into both of these targets and get that valuable damage. You don't need to worry so much about what this Floette is going to throw out, although there is the threat of the Light of Rune, as always, will be present.
And we're going to have to see if the training from Giuseppe's side may allow the Incineroar to survive, because it is a careful stat alignment promoting the special defensive prowess of this Incineroar rather than the defensive. So, Fake Out, where does it go? It goes into the Garchomp, Rough Skin activated. That may actually put it within range of a Light of Ruin that we do not see in Moonblast. Instead, for the Charizard, putting it just above 50%. Is there any drop of special attack? Not this time. Charizard goes for the Heat Wave, and it misses on the Garchomp. It does connect with the Floette, though, dealing so much damage, Lee.
Oh, and the burn as well, that residual damage there. Yeah, the miss onto the Garchomp's pretty huge. We saw how much damage it did in that game too, and it was really consequential. Now, the Garchomp is on -1, so this is why we're seeing the Protect here, because a Rock Slide coming out, it would connect, it would pick up that Charizard, and now taking advantage of the free slot, the Incineroar can't Protect, Light of Ruin into it, and this combination is going to be more than enough to pick up that Incineroar.
There's no way it could be more careful than that. Does go down, but at the cost of its own stead. Floette is now down. Federico has lost his Mega option for this Game 3. Maybe the Basculegion can be brought.
If Basculegion to the back, it could be an option, but I mean, in front of a Whimsicott, it's not really going to help you out too much, right? But you've got the advantage now of setting your Tailwind and Rock Sliding this next turn, kicking the Garchomp out.
And there's going to be a lot of mind games. Incineroar is no longer an option to be able to slow down the offensive pressure from Federico's side. Talking about that, Moonblast goes into the Garchomp. That switched in, covering so nicely that slot. Probably going to be the double up here. If it's a Dragon Claw, this would be an insane play. Moonblast from Giuseppe's Whimsicott, now going into the opposing one. Actually dropping its special attack, dealing so much damage, but it's going to be the Rock Slide. Didn't want to commit with the Dragon Claw in order to break the Focus Sash from Giuseppe's Whimsicott, but what a showdown!
Well, for Giuseppe.
I was going to say there's the on-call mind games that you need to be able to respect too. It does seem to be the Basculegion as the final Pokemon of choice from Federico's side, followed by a Protect from the Garchomp on Giuseppe's. Moonblast does target it down, deals about 35% damage, is going to be able to maybe put it within a range, but Federico willing to take the risk, go for the Dragon Claw.
The Basculegion coming onto the field now does offer a little bit more offensive threat, but it takes away some of that distraction as well, taking a Moonblast from that Whimsicott.
Who wins the speed tie? It's going to be the Garchomp from Giuseppe's side. Moonblast and the Dragon Claw, enough to pick up the KO onto the Basculegion. Dragon Claw on Federico's side, maybe a bit too late. However, it's not over just yet. Whimsicott is still available on Federico's side. It's going to be a battle between both of these little cotton balls.
Yeah, and it comes down to Garchomp really versus the Charizard, and that's the thing. I think Federico's Garchomp still in a very strong spot where depending on how it is trained, is it going to be able to take a Moonblast? You would suggest probably it is. So all you do if you're Federico is click that Tailwind button, hope that you don't get encored into your previous move, which is the Moonblast, and you become susceptible to the encore. But here is an encore.
It encores the Garchomp. It's locked into Dragon Claw. It is not allowed to go for the Rock Slide. We see the Whimsicott interaction. They're trying to go for the encore of its own. Federico has dropped his headset. Heat Wave has connected on both Pokemon. Garchomp is left on its own. 94. It cannot touch the Whimsicott on Giuseppe. This looks locked up.
Yeah, that is one way to do it. Winning the speed tie was huge there to lock that Garchomp into the move that it wasn't able to take advantage of. And Giuseppe Musico is going to be your winner here in Swiss round 9.